Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com. I hope you're doing well. Today I am back with the second video in our August wallet series here at Sewspire, and I am calling this the Sewspire Sidekick wallet. I think this could serve other purposes than holding your cash and cards. I'm going to give you a little overview of this here. It has a snap flap closure. Across the top here we have a little zipper pocket that spans half of the project. You have the option of making it span the whole project if you like, and that would be great for smallish things like lip gloss, coins, things like that. Then when you open it up on the inside, you have two floating card cascades, which can hold 6 cards in total, 3 on each side, but I suggest 2 cards being ideal so they're not too close to the top of this. There's room for adjustment on the cards if you would like to adjust those. And then I have integrated a full-length slip pocket there that's perfect for cash. I think it'll fit a passport beautifully. So this is the Sewspire Sidekick wallet, and I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to make this step by step. As a supplement to this video tutorial, you can purchase the design board for this project. That's a 1-page PDF that includes all the pattern measurements, the materials list, photos of the project, and a direct link to this tutorial. The design boards are wonderful because you can save them for future inspiration, and you'll have everything you need on one piece of paper. So if that sounds like it would be of service to you, I will put the link to my Etsy pattern shop down in the notes, and you can purchase the Sewspire Sidekick wallet design board. All right, so shall we get started? Okay, so we are going to begin by crafting the card cascades. There will be 2 of them and they will be identical. And so for these cascades, you're going to need 10 3 by 6.5 inch rectangles, and 6 of those are going to get pressed in half, wrong sides facing, so that they measure 3.25 by 3, and these will become the actual card slips. I have used a half cut of interfacing in between these, and I am working with DLH Heavy, which Catherine from sewyourbag.com is offering. I really enjoy working with this product. I like the heavy and the light equally as well, and honestly either would work very well for this project. So you are going to have your main panels also backed in interfacing, and then your card slips are going to have a half of cut of interfacing on the inside. So you will have 3 of these card slips on each one of the main panels, and then the remaining 3 by 6.5 inch piece will not have interfacing, and that's what we're going to use to create this little card sandwich. But what we want to do first is top stitch across each of these card slips, and I am just using a 1/4 inch foot here, and I'm stitching right across the top there. The folded edge of the card slip is aligned with the right hand edge of the presser foot. Okay, So I have 6 of those little card pockets that have all been top stitched. Then working with my 2 main panels here for this card cascade, I am going to begin by positioning the raw edges of one of those card cascades 1 1/4 inch up from the base of that, and I want to stitch using a 1/4 inch seam allowance right across those raw edges there, and that's going to allow me to flip that pocket up and have a nice finished edge at the bottom there. So again, positioning those raw edges 1 1/4 inch up from the base of that panel, and you will repeat the process on the opposite side. Now this side of the fabric that is facing down will be visible on your wallet, so make sure that that print is going in the right direction and it is one that you would like to be a focal point. And I just noticed this one is upside down, so I'm going to turn that around and position that 1 1/4 inches from the bottom there. Okay, and then you can fold that pocket up and give it a good press. And then you will want to get a business card or a shopper's card so you can use that to fit the remaining pockets here. And we will just complete both of these cascades at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and fold down that little cover pocket, we're calling it, and position the second pocket with those raw edges 2 inches up from the bottom of the actual panel. And then same thing, I'm going to stitch across there using the 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to repeat that for the second card cascade. So just folding down that first pocket, working from the main panel, measuring up 2 inches and positioning those raw edges right at that 2 inch mark, and then stitching across there with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then go ahead and press that pocket up. And then for the third pocket, we want to position that 2 3/4 inches from the bottom of that base panel, and then we'll stitch right across the raw edge of that, aligning the raw edges with the right hand edge of the presser foot. And I do have a 1/4 inch presser foot on my machine, so if you have a 3/8 of an inch foot, you are going to have to just use your seam allowance guides there to use a 1/4 inch top stitching for that. So coming up 2 3/4 inches from the bottom of this body panel here, positioning those raw edges right there and stitching across there using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then that pocket will get turned up and pressed as well. Okay, so now you should have 2 cascading pocket panels there, and when all of the pockets are flipped up, the raw edges along the base are concealed, and you have room to adjust here because you can move these pockets down. So ideally you will get them all level and nice and even. And once you have those nice and even, go ahead and clip those so they stay put. And then you can test fit with your cards. looks like a good fit for me. You are welcome to adjust if you like more or less distance between the tops of your cards. It's easy to do. You'll just be adjusting the spacing on these slips, and you have plenty of room at the top and the bottom to custom fit those. So I can go ahead and remove the cards there. And now I want to take my remaining 3 by 6.5 rectangles and position those right sides facing down on this little cascade here to make a card sandwich. And I'm lining up those corners and then using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, I'm going to stitch down the right and the left hand sides of each of these card cascades. I can leave the top and the bottom unstitched. Okay, I have stitched down the right and the left hand long edges of both card cascades. I'm going to trim that seam up to 1/4 inch. And then very carefully I am going to turn this right side out. Okay, so turning those little card tubes is probably the most difficult part of this project, but it is completely possible. If you want to make that a little bit easier, you could eliminate the interfacing on the top 2 card pockets. I suggest still keeping it for this front facing pocket, and that might help make it a little easier for you. But ultimately I did get them turned around and pressed, and nothing gave way there, and my cards fit nice and snug in there, which is what I want, because you don't want your cards to fall out of the wallet, of course. And then I have just enough room for my seam allowance there at the top. So that's your options there. Now we want to bring over one of the main body panels for the wallet, and this measures 6.5 by 10, and we're going to fold that in half and press in a center line there so that we can center these little card cascades in each quadrant. So that should be about 1 1/4, 1.5 inches from each side there. It's like right in the middle of that distance. And that's what that will look like. And then we want to craft a little cash slip that's going to sit right behind this pocket here on the left. And so that is going to also be made from a like size piece of cotton fabric that's 6.5 by 10. And you are going to press that in half, wrong sides facing, and then take that top edge and fold that over about 1/2 inch on each short side there. So you end up with a pocket that is lined on both sides there, and you can stagger that top lip, and you just want to come across there with a row of top stitching. I'm going to add a second row for a little accent. And here's what my little interior slip pocket looks like. That will be ideal potentially for the phone, cash, other larger correspondence that you have. So that's going to get positioned along that left hand side, and you're just coming down about 1/4 inch from center there, and then on top of that will sit your card cascade right at center. And so we can put some clips across the top here to hold the card cascades and the cash slip in place. And then along the bottom will be very helpful as well. Now you need to run a row of stitching along the base of that cash slip to hold that pocket in place. And then we are going to install a zipper along this right hand side here so that there will be an internal zipper pocket. So you should be using like a 7-inch zipper. I have these really fabulous metal zippers with these donut pulls on them. They are not necessarily ideal for this, but they are so pretty that I'm going to go ahead and use one of those. I think I am going to use this peachy colored one here. The reason that they're not ideal is because you cannot sew through the metal teeth, and it could even be a challenge to cut through that. So if you are new to sewing, I highly recommend that you choose a nylon coil zipper for this part of the project. But what I'm going to do is just add some zipper tabs to this, some little fabric tabs, and if necessary, jump those teeth with my stitching. So I have little 2x2 fabric squares which I folded right sides out or wrong sides facing there, and I'm going to tuck those underneath of that zipper. So I have my little tab even with the short side of the fabric here, and then my zipper. And when I get down here to the end, I am going to cut off the excess here, and I'm going to slip another one of those little zipper tabs up under. So you have the body panel, the little fabric tab, and then your zipper teeth. And we're going to put a clip at the bottom of that, and then move the zipper pull into the center, and you're going to stitch right along that right hand edge there as close as you can to the zipper teeth. And that's what that looks like when you fold that up. Now we want to take the remaining body panel, which is 6.5 by 10 and is also interfaced, and we want to position that down on the table here and lay this pocket panel on top of that, aligning the sides of those zipper tabs and that zipper tape across the top there. And then I'm going to stitch right across that zipper as close as I can get to the zipper teeth. And so this is what you should have when you open that panel up. So what we want to do is fold this little panel back over so we have a nice little wallet sandwich there, and we can combine these clips. We want the bottom of this aligned nicely and the sides as well. And we're going to push the zipper so that it is, the zipper tape is going down but the zipper teeth are going up, so we can try to avoid those zipper teeth. And we're going to start sewing at the top there of the zipper tape, and we're going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and stitch all the way down that edge. So I'm going to back this up on the machine and start sewing on the zipper tape, but leaving the zipper teeth towards the top. And then you can go ahead and trim up those seams to 1/4 inch. Be careful around your zipper there. And then you can reach inside and turn this project right side out. And this will be much easier because you have a lot more room to work with than you did with those little card cascades. And then once you get that turned around, give it a good press. And then you're going to take that open edge there and just turn that under about 1/4 inch and get it so it's fairly even with the pocket that you stitched down there. Okay, now we want to craft a little flap closure for this. So that is also made from a rectangle, which is 3 inches by 6.5 inches wide. You're going to fold that in half, right sides facing, and then attach a half piece of the inner facing. You'll stitch down the right and the left hand sides, leave the short end open to turn, and you can use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then you're going to turn that right side out, poke out those corners and give this flap a good press. And then you're going to top stitch around the finished edges. And then we want to install a snap on this flap. If you have snaps that have decorative heads, you can just install that right through all the layers. I have used up all my decorative heads, but I still have plenty of the regular attachments. So I want to go ahead and insert this somewhat plain snap on the inside of this flap. So I'm just going to fit that down in there at center, and then I will poke those prongs through and attach the female portion of the snap to this. I just use a little hammer. And then the male portion fits right inside of that. And then I'm going to tuck the flap in at center along that open edge of the wallet that we have not closed up yet. And I've got about 3/4 of an inch of that flap down in the wallet, and I'm just going to run a row of top stitching right across there to attach that flap at that seam. And then I want to fold the wallet in half. I'll unzip that little pocket, fold that flap over, and get an idea of approximately where the remaining prongs should be installed. And I like to just poke those through from the exterior so I have little holes, so I can come right in from the underside there and get that positioned in the right spot. And then I just poke those prongs up with my little chopstick, fold that flap over, get those prongs to rest nice on top of that existing snap, and then I will give that a little hammer. And now my snap is secured. When I am working with the non-decorative heads, I find they leave that impression there. So this is where I like to install my label right over the top of that, and it generally looks pretty good, and then it offers this area a little bit more stability. So that's just one idea for you if you're not using decorative snaps. If you have a decorative snap head there, that isn't really a problem. Okay. So for the most part, my wallet is done. I have these fabulous card slips here that hold the cards nice and snug in there. I have my little cash slip pocket here, and then I have a full-length zipper pocket. Now this pocket is unlined at this point. I definitely think that it would be possible to line this pocket if you install the zipper like you were crafting a cosmetic bag. This interfacing that I have used is fusible, so I'm not terribly worried about the lining for that pocket, but I don't think I want that pocket to span the whole wallet. So what I'm going to do is run a row of stitching right at center here so that I can close off this pocket from this opposite side here. Yay! And I have a darling little Sidekick wallet here with a zipper pocket here on the right hand side, 3 card slips on top of that, and then this under area here might also prove to be useful to you. Let me know what ideas you have. I do feel like you could tuck something in there and that might have a purpose as well. Then you have your pocket here, which definitely looks like it would fit a passport. You could certainly slip some cash in there. And then likewise, you have room here too if you wanted to slide something under there. And you have your cards right on front. And then that folds up and is secured with that little snap flap closure. I just think it's darling, and I can see a lot of alternate uses for this where you might be able to organize like a very little tiny project here and your needles and your swatches. So it could end up being a little sewing kit or something like that as well. So let me know what you think of the Sewspire Sidekick wallet down in the comments. I want to give you a couple of measurements here on this. We are coming in at 5.5 inches wide and 4.5 inches tall, and then about 3/4 of an inch there on the depth, and it fits nice in hand. It really is very cute. I love it. So I want to thank you for sewing with me today. It was an absolute pleasure to spend this time with you. I will be back next Friday with another wallet tutorial for you. If you have special requests or ideas for this third wallet in the Sewspire wallet series, please let me know. I would be happy to see what is possible. So until we meet again, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I hope you all have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for sewing with me.